Welcome to another edition of Blase Blah.
Blase Blah.
This is Eugene and I'm Steve.
How you doing?
Well,
what are we talking about, Steve?
I was doing quite good, so I found out about the latest shooting in the US, which happened a few days ago. Guy's name was Stephon, 23-year-old Californian.
Steve, there's so many shootings in the US. It's just unbelievable. I mean, you start talking about what shootings are we talking about? Citizens shooting each other, or are we talking about police?
To clarify, police shooting.
We have to. I mean, shooting is just quite a large spectrum when you say the word shooting in America.
Sorry. I'm talking about police shootings.
Oh, you're talking about the police who's supposed to protect people.
The police are supposed to protect people.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll talk about that. So this latest guy was shot in his backyard. Police were looking for a potential car thief in the area. Chased him into his backyard. Each policeman pumped 10 shots into him. Okay, so the guy was obviously stone cold dead. They kept talking to him to see if he was alive, making out he was still a danger to them. And you know what they did in the end? They actually handcuffed him. A dead body, they handcuffed the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, Steve, this is... Something like this would actually surprise me. Many years ago, it would have surprised me many years ago. I would have been nothing shocked. Nothing shocked me. When I any form of news report that comes with police shootings, nothing surprises me. The way they've been conducting themselves within the last few years through social media and through people with their cameras filming has been appalling. But what kills me is that, pardon the pun, but what I find is, what was it like before we had cameras?
Well, look, go back to Rodney King. Rodney King was the first man, really, that was ever videoed being brutalised by the police. And I actually think we've gone backwards, because at least in that day and age, that was a global news story. People in Britain saw that on our own news stations.
The world
saw it. Okay, and even though in the day they were acquitted. Yeah, what I was saying was I think we've gone backwards since Rodney King in 1991, because I was looking, and in the light of this latest killing, I was looking for another story, and I wonder if any of the viewers out there have seen this, because I couldn't find it. And it was an African American who was killed in a store due to a hoax called by a white citizen who said that he was brandishing a gun and called the police. The police ran in after about 2 or 3 minutes, army response unit, and shot the guy dead. No questions asked. And it was a complete hoax. The guy didn't have a gun. He was shopping for cat food for his mother. Okay, but I was looking for this story and I couldn't find it. But what actually shocked me the most was I put in as one of my searches, African American man shot by police. I might as well have been searching for Beatles songs. There were so many that came up. It was just absolutely ridiculous. And have we become desensitized to this when this footage is out there for all of us to see?
Yeah.
And there doesn't seem to be anything really being done about it. I mean, maybe I'm cosseted or maybe I'm naive, but I actually can't assimilate this into my mind.
Yeah, well, America's built on race and racism. The whole situation, I mean, it was built by its slaves as the foundation. Brought black people from Africa, brought them to America, and that's what really propelled America to be the power force and the wealth that it has today. Because when you have over 300, 400 years of free labor, it builds a level of wealth that it's came from absolutely nowhere. So that's just race in its stems. And then after slavery, it was appalling for African Americans. Even after slavery, it's kind of worse in a certain way, because they weren't protected in any form of way, and they've always been struggling. But if you look at the police force and the way they carry on in America towards blacks, I mean, housing discrimination, job discrimination, disenfranchised to levels that, it's just unbelievable. But the thing is, right now is when I look at, I don't want to belittle any movement, but when we look at like Me Too campaigns and
Black Lives Matter.
Well, not Black Lives Matter, but Me Too campaigns. So you're talking about everybody's thinking, oh, it's appalling, and it is appalling that what happened with women. But we're not actually seeing videos of women being like sexually abused or being raped.
Right. Okay.
But in this case, we're seeing African Americans being killed on our devices around the world, and nothing has been done with it. I mean, Me Too, I'm not belittling anything of it, but Me Too are women saying about stories that they've experienced, and we don't even know if it's true or not. I'm sure it is, and I want to say, but I'm just saying is that we're actually seeing things. We're actually seeing videos of this misjustice. I mean, and these police officers are not going to prison.
I mean, you can click on today's YouTube and you'll see the killing of Oscar Grant. You'll see the killing of Philando Castile. You'll see the shooting of Alton Sterling, and you'll see the shooting of Charles Kinsey, who was actually a behavioural therapist who was trying to pacify an autistic client who was sat down on the ground with his hands up.
Terrible.
His hands up like this, laying on the ground. Talking to trying to pacify his autistic client, and they still shot the guy. There was another one where the guy was running away, shot him in the back, wasn't it?
I mean, the fact that a country hasn't put any laws in place, or put anything in place to actually stop this, it shows how they see the value of African Americans and African American communities, but not just African American communities, just specifically, obviously, African American poor communities, people with no power. And I just think if this continues, I mean, how can you have a balanced society? How do you think people are going to feel, like viscerally, how people would feel to think, to react to that? If you're going along life and you're seeing people that look like your children being killed or your daughter being killed by the police force.
I mean, I would if I was a black father in America there and I had a teenage son. Yeah, I would be scared for him. Well, I really would be scared for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my son, racism, sadly is everywhere still in 2018, and I have to have a conversation with my son about, when he's going to be dealing with institutionalized racism. And he's going to be dealing with racism from police and being targeted. Now, every father who's got a black son has to sit down and have that conversation. The thing is that if it was wealthy white Americans that had to sit down and have those conversations with their kids, everything would change overnight. It wouldn't even be a conversation. It would just be if it was people of power's children. Do you know what? And I hope this does never happen, but if somebody, I don't know, let's say Oprah Winfrey had children. And her child got shot dead. Overnight, things would change. Overnight, people would be disgusted. The power that she holds, overnight. It just disgusts me. And I've got some numbers here.
Yeah, these are stark facts, aren't they?
These are stark facts. In 2016, cops, not just black kids, but just general, shot 963 people.
963.
That's 2016. 2017, 987 people.
Right, okay.
Now, they killed...
Up to March. I think this was up to March, wasn't it, this year?
Yeah, now up from March, within 2018, we've just started, they've killed 214 people.
So the good news for the US police, you're set to break your own record this year.
You're going to hit the big numbers.
You're going to hit your target.
You're going to hit your target. You're hitting your targets. You might even outdo them.
I know, exactly.
Now, one other thing is that with all the other shootings that have been going on, with the school shootings, and everyone seems to have more empathy about that because it's, crazy people going into schools and shooting people, and everybody's looking at it, and I'm thinking to myself, is it because they're sort of middle class, well-to-do kids in suburban areas?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because nearly all those shootings, I mean, I stand corrected, and I'm not an expert on all these school shootings, but from memory, they seem to be always undertaken by white kids.
Yeah, which it is, and also white kids that have got security and wealthy, which I find ludicrous.
Yeah, I know.
Which, if we started, how can you say, stereotyping white kids, or, police would be stopping white middle class kids every day, because
they're not out in every suburb stopping them because they're a potential potentially going to go into a schoolyard and blast away 17 people.
Absolutely, but obviously, young black kids don't really have a life where they're not being, how can you say, sort of stereotyped and negative imagery of.
Well, you say negativity. You know, something always interests me actually, and this is a point I have picked up with a few people who thought I was a bit nuts because they couldn't really see what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But I always think when you go into that insidious racism, and people don't actually mean it, but I always find it quite interesting. Like if you're watching a film or a TV series, okay, people will say, "Oh yeah, you know the black guy in it," but you would never say, "Oh, I watched this program the other night. I watched this film. It's a really good film. You know the white guy in it." You would never say that, would you? And it interests me how people have that institutional view of the world. And I've pointed it out to people. They thought I was nuts, basically. Saying it was racist.
Well, you know, this is the reason why. Like, it's because when white people are the dominant, dominant population, which have a lot of the power, a lot of movie films, all the roles, and our world is seen through imagery of white people than anything. So when we see people of color, it's quite unique. Sorry to digress, but what we're trying to say here is that the one with the shooting with the guy in the back garden where they handcuffed him.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I find very strange.
This recent one.
The recent one,
Stephon
Clark.
Yeah.
Now, the one with Stephon Clark, what I find is the argument is we should supply more people with guns when we start talking about gun control. Yeah, and
supplying citizens with guns.
Citizens with more guns because kill a good guy with a gun. This is when it comes to school shootings.
Okay.
Now, when I watched that Stephon Clark video, the cops that were coming in, they were shaking. They were really nervous. So it looks like they were walking in the darkness. They had lights on, and they were like really shaking and nervous because they.
Well, the guy's just holding an iPhone.
But you look at the fear of those cops with a gun going to. Now, imagine if we supplied. If they're scared that this person's going to have a gun, can you imagine if they supplied everyone with a gun? The fear that these police would have with every case. The death toll from like 983 would go up to like, I think you'd be into about 30,000.
You talk about if every citizen was carrying a gun.
If we went to that logic, every citizen have a gun. Can you imagine how panicky and scared the cop would be?
That's very true. But do you know what? I'm being a bit sceptical because I can be a bit cynical at times. But I wonder if the cops were playing up to the cameras because they knew they were being filmed on that. I think it was their own video equipment. And I think they exaggerated their fear to excuse their act.
Yeah, that's very true. Maybe maybe they that's a very good point. I think they probably did exaggerate their fear to excuse their act.
Which is why they wanted to justify handcuffing him.
But how could you be a police officer? You're so scared. How could you take on a role to be so scared within those? I'm not saying, they're only human, but at the same time, how could you be that level of scared? And why, if he's just got a gun, he's just breaking into the car, do we need to shoot him dead? What about a warning sign?
I mean, why can't he just shoot somebody in the leg? I mean, the guy didn't have a gun. Apparently, he was holding his mobile phone, which they then deemed to be a gun.
This is always the case, though, Steve. They always say things like, you're reaching. They also said, put the gun down, and the guy's got his phone in his hand. They say they were feared to be attacked when the person was running away. They tasered him and they still couldn't control the person, or they reached for the taser but they realised it wasn't the taser they pulled out, it was their gun.
Excuses. So half of them are acquitted, aren't they?
Well, not half of them. 99.99% of them get acquitted.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that do to the morale of the people of African American community? What does that feel to anybody? I mean, it shouldn't be just African American community should be feel away. The white communities of all backgrounds should feel away. Everybody should have away because they're Americans. They're people that are being killed.
I'm sure the white communities must have suffered unlawful killings as well by the police.
Oh, of course they have. Yeah, of course they have. I mean, the statistics of more actually white people die than African Americans. But saying that, within the numbers, more African Americans.
But I'd be interested to see if you had the number of white people that have been killed by the police. I'd be interested to know what class they were from, and I'd have a guess.
Well, I'd make an
majority
assumption.
of those would be working class kids that have been shot.
Most definitely. Poor neighborhoods, people with lack of resources. Most definitely. That's always been the case. But it saddens me, and I hope America really pulls it together.
Come on, America!
Come on, America! Get it together. You've got an idiot in power. We all know that. But two things: sort out your gun control, and really sort out your police force.
Yeah, you got
that is going around killing black people and just killing people in general, and they just don't seem trained. You just got to sort it out, America. It's just I'm pleading for you. Get it together.
Because their police force there makes our police force look like teddy bears. Doesn't it?
Well, it just makes our police force look like every single one of them is Sherlock Holmes.
Sure. With his magnifying glass. Come on, US. You really have got to do something now.
Yeah, you got to do something. We can't. It's so tiring, and it's just exhausting to keep seeing every month or every week a black person being shot on camera unlawfully.
Like I say, I still cannot believe what I'm seeing with my own eyes. It's just absolutely incredulous.
I wish that I would say that I can't believe. I've just seen it so many times that they've convinced me of what they do and this is just the norm to me. I mean, I really don't know, and we just we just want more. We just want America to change and really pull it together. I mean, it's 2018 now, and if you're not, you've got to start moving along. We've got to start changing. You sort your guns out. I mean, you can't. Your guns situation is never going to change. You're always going to have guns. We know this.
Come on, guys. We know it's in your constitution, but
come on,
it's gone too far now. Surely,
yeah.
There must be a lot of Americans who share our values on this.
Oh, there's probably loads of them, but. It's part of the society out there. If you go down south, people love their guns and they believe in having the Third Amendment
I think it's the Second Amendment.
Second Amendment, but all these amendments, some of these things are so old-fashioned and dusty.
They're so outdated, aren't they? I mean, the idea of, I think, if it is the Second Amendment, is the idea of guns that you can protect yourself against the government. Okay, but I mean, this is 300 years old, isn't it? These laws.
It's just really appalling. It's really appalling.
Come on, I love the US, but you really have got to sort yourself out on this one.
Absolutely, and all we'll just say, we just want to say to the families of people that have been shot by cops, just people shot in general, people losing their lives with guns,
white or black.
It's got to get it together. It's just unbelievable.
It's not on, guys. It's not on.
Well, thanks for listening to.
Thanks for tuning in. Not so much humour today, but it was actually a subject that needs some sort of brevity. So
thank you, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about this again, Steve, because it doesn't seem.
No, I think this is just part one. So thanks for tuning in on this serious matter, and we look forward to seeing you next time on edition of Blase Blah.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, guys.